Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel for another update on Kadena. So, I hope you all enjoyed the 4-day bull market, but now let's snap back to reality and see what is going on with the Kadena chart. So, I think all of you who've been watching for a while know my price targets down here at $1.80. I've talked about the $1 price target being backed up by your 1.618. So I'm going to remove this chart because I want to draw something that I have just recently noticed over on the chart. I'm going to take this out of the log, and what you will notice is, removing these previous data points that we do have, logging this one out a little bit, is we've got something very similar to Bitcoin's market structure, where, you know, Bitcoin came up. If I draw this out, you can see we had some highs up here and we had some highs right here, but more or less, you know, we can kind of draw this without having it here, and you could say, hey, you know, this is your pole and this is your flag. We're in a massive bear flag that's probably going to break down to the downside very soon. Why do I point this out? Because let's move over to Kadena and see what the market structure is like over here. So you've got this massive pole to the downside, right? Pull up the rectangle box, you can see you've got touch points all over here. So initially, if you were drawing this as a bull flag, or a bear flag rather, you'd be saying, hey, you'd want to see a break above this range, and then that's when you can become bullish. What did we have over on Kadena? Well, we had exactly what we had over on Bitcoin. You had a failed move, and just like we had over here, we had a failed move equals a fast move in the opposite direction. Right here for Bitcoin, Bitcoin tried to take a break above, tried to take a breakout above this bear flag. And as soon as this happened, we poked our head back above this, broke back down, and now it seems like, at least in my opinion, you know, once again, don't have a crystal ball, this is just my TA, I think we're going to start rocketing to the downside very soon for Bitcoin. I think this is going to happen over on Kadena as well. Kadena has been showing absolute weakness, and as you can once again see, I mean, we could have drawn it something, yeah, once again, keeping it how it was. So you would have been expecting, hey, if you have a breakout above this range, this is the kind of time where you want to start flipping bullish. However, what we've just had is a failed move above the top of this bear flag. And as I always say on my channel, a failed move equals a fast move in the opposite direction. Where do you think that I think we're going to be heading to in the immediate short term? Once again, if you're a cowboy veteran, you should probably know, badoink, all the way down here to $1, the price target that I've been mentioning for absolutely months now. So it was fun while it lasted. We had a run up to previous resistance, poked our head above this, and we didn't have the volume coming in to back it. Right, there's really nothing else to say. So once again, like I've been saying for a while, I think patience is key in these markets. Not FOMOing in, having a plan, which is what I've been having for the past couple of months. We've been covering Kadena since all the way up here at 650, and there's been multiple times where we've had, you know, bounces and bounces and bounces and bounces and bounces, and almost every single time I get asked questions saying, hey, you still think Kadena's going down to $1? And every single time the answer is the same. Market structure has not changed. If we pull up the EMA ribbons, look at something else that could let me actually get back to my original chart so I make sure that I don't lose that data, because this is how I originally lost all my data for Kadena. I reset the chart and then it was just gone. So I think I reset my chart while I was doing the volume profiles. We looked at the VPVR, forgot to reset it, and lost all of my data from months of trading Kadena. So it is what it is nonetheless. We just got to make sure that we don't lose it again. So if we look at the VPVR, then we'll look at the EMA ribbons. You can see at this moment in time, we're basically coming down to our last area of support on the volume profiles. If we do fall beneath there, you know, it makes sense why there's not a lot of volume traded, because we haven't really traded beneath this range for quite some time. And also, if you did watch my volume profiles episode over on Kadena, you can see over on the volume profiles for the fixed range, if we draw from the 12th of January from low to the high, and then we also draw from down these lows at the 20th of July 2021 up to the high, you can see we've got a cluster right here and we've got a cluster right here. And if we pair these together, where is the next major cluster to the downside? It's where this big green rectangle box is. And once again, my friends, this is between $1.08 all the way down to 86 cents, which is really tying up to my $1 price target, tying up to my 80 cent price target. I think once again, both of these are coming into fruition. If we look at the EMA ribbons, we can switch back to log now. Now we're not looking at price targets. every single time. Remove the drawings. I have talked about this so many times since I started my channel and since I started covering Kadena at 650. I've been telling you the trend is your friend. If you simply wait for a breakout of the daily EMA ribbons, you will not be buying the exact bottom. But what you will be doing is you'll be buying a confirmed breakout at the start of a trend that will take away the FOMO from your mind. You don't need to look at the price action. You don't need to look at what everyone else is saying. You just simply wait. And as soon as we have a bullish flip above the daily EMA ribbons, that is when we can start getting bullish. And I also said, you know, I would admit I was wrong on Kadena if we did pump to the upside, flip above these EMA ribbons and pump to the upside. I would have said at that period in time, it would look like we're having a trend shift, and I would have to admit I'm wrong. So, you know, was I wrong? Zooming in on the daily time frame, we came right up into the EMA ribbons on the daily time frame. And what we're doing right now, we're falling beneath them. On the 4-hourly time frame, what is the bullish trend that we've been making over on Kadena? Well, you can see that we've now fallen beneath, heavily fallen beneath the 4-hourly EMA ribbons. Tons of volume came in as we capitulated below the 4-hourly EMAs. I imagine the 1 hours have already flipped bearish, and they have. You're falling beneath a major area of support over on the VPVR right now. You're actually technically sitting right on it. The charts are a little bit spooked out over on Kadena since the most recent drop, because you've actually opened all the way up here even though the close was down here. But nonetheless, not too important. 4-hourly time frame for Kadena looks like it's about to flip bearish. Daily time frame, we never flipped bullish. You know, once again, I have to keep on saying this. You know, the trend is your friend until the end on this one, and everyone keeps on getting out of bed for lower highs. So once again, I'm happy to be brutally blunt on this one. But the bottom is not in my opinion. I think we've got much lower price targets in play before the bottom is in for Kadena. Daily time frames as well. If we switch this back over to the Heikenashis, you can see how good have the Heikenashis been at saying, you know, look, you've got a rally to the upside. As soon as you start turning back into red, you're probably going to have a cascade, dead cat bounce, cascade, dead cat bounce, cascade, dead cat bounce, cascade. Here, you did a lot of lollygagging to the side. So bear in mind, maybe the daily Heikenashis are not necessarily the best thing to use when you are just kind of lollygagging sideways. And this is more or less what we did in this entire market structure. But what you can see was we've broken that market structure. We're no longer just range bound going slightly up, slightly down, slightly up, slightly down, slightly up, slightly down. We had a huge run to the upside, all the way down from the lows at 142 up to 190. So we clearly broke short-term bullish. We can see massive strong flip on the 4-hourly EMA ribbon. So the trend was changed on the lower time frames. Trend wasn't changed on the higher time frames, but now the trend is starting to switch back, starting to return back to its bearish standard. And once again, we're coming down. We've got about one area of support left. If we look at the VPVR, you start running out of volume profiles beneath $1.58. If today or tomorrow, because I don't think we're going to just rocket to the downside today. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. So let's just say tomorrow. Let's just say, you know, by tomorrow, you'd really want to be holding around about that $1.53 to $1.54. If you break these regions to the downside, you could very quickly witness. And bear in mind, once again, there's not, looking at the volume profiles for the visible range, when we do look at what happens when you capitulate beneath this low, you know, look at the volume that we've got, or rather look at the price action that we've got traded over on these charts round about these regions. I mean, beneath this orange line here, it's just a straight line up. This was just a straight line up, straight line down, straight line up, straight line down. We've got almost no volume traded around these regions. So we shouldn't expect much in terms of support until the next leg to the downside, which is going to be in play at exactly $1. I don't think we need to overanalyze these charts. Look at a million and one different ways to analyze it. The fact is, the trend is your friend until the end. The trend has not changed. On this most recent bump, you know, we got rejected on the daily time frame from the 236. So absolute weakness in this market right now. Let's finish off on the momentum indicators before we do wrap up this video. Daily squeeze momentum is heading to the downside. We've just started to trickle over into dark green. Whenever this happens, it's not really a good sign for the bulls. There are very few times, like this time over here and this time over here, that you actually, and actually this time over here as well, you know, you reset this and then went back up bullish. There are very few times when this happens. When you look at previous times, like over here, over here, over here, you actually temporarily flatline, switch back bullish, but it was immediately forted back down. So here, 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 here. Once again, this was one big accumulation range where KDA went crazy back in the day. But ever since then, and you've been in the bear market, you see these very, very short-lived switches back over to bullish momentum on the daily squeeze momentum indicator. What happens as soon as you switch back into dark green? You're ready for another major, major bearish capitulation. Daily MACD returned to the headline with bearish momentum coming in over on the histogram. You can't really see it at this moment in time because the green moving average over on the MACD is kind of at the heart line right now. But we came up very, very quickly. Like we came down from, you know, minus 90% basically all the way back up to the heart line. So, and we can go lower than this, but nonetheless, it was a huge, huge rally to the upside we've just had for the MACD. And it was also the same for the MFI, the money flow index. We went from 7 and then double topped at 71. So looking at this double top on the money flow index as well is another brutal sign in which should be saying, hey, Kadena's getting ready for the next level back down. 4-hourly time frame money flow index has bottomed, so we can, like I said, definitely see a bounce in the lower time frames, especially if you're coming down to this place. You could probably bounce, come up to the volume profiles, make another lower high. Everyone will be saying, hey, your price target's still the same here, you still bearish, and then we'll probably make an M pattern, break to the downside and rock it all the way down to my price targets at $1. And I think this is going to be in play within the next 2 weeks. Why do I think the next 2 weeks? We've got an FOMC meeting coming up very, very soon. The day after that, we've got the GDP results. So between the 27th and the 28th, there can be a lot of bearish news coming into these markets. So once again, I switch bullish when the Fed pivots, or I switch bullish when the trend on the higher time frames switches bullish. Neither of those things have happened. The Fed hasn't pivoted. We'll find out what happens there over on Saturday. No, not Saturday. 27th, Wednesday and Thursday next week. We're going to find out what is going on with the Fed, what's going on with the GDP, and hopefully at some point within the next couple of months, we're going to finally witness something like this, where we come down, we hit my bearish price targets, and then we start crossing back bullish. Now, while I do wrap up this video, I do want to end the video on something that I have recently decided for Kadena, because I previously told you I wasn't 100% sure if I would be having buy orders down at $1 or down here at 80 cents. I would be judging that as we do get closer to that market structure. I have started to change my mind on that. I am going to start having buy orders down here at $1. I am going to have them down at 90 cents, and I'm also going to have them down at 80 cents. Now, I'm not going to go ape. I'm not going to go all in. I don't want you to think Kadena's like my #1 altcoin, because it's really not. For me, Solana, I much prefer to DCA Solana, but KDA, I do think this has great potential. I think out of all the proof of works as well, this is probably the greenest, or one of the greenest new technologies coming out in the market. I really do like this altcoin. I think it's going to be good in the future. And by the future, I think you all know by now, I'm a Bitcoin store value maxi. I'm not here to hodl these altcoins for the long term. I'm not saying hodl Kadena for 5 years, hodl it for 10 years and you'll be rich. No, I think if you hodl Kadena for 10, 15 years, you'll be poor, because this will probably be at 0 in 20 years. Just like every other altcoin. This is my opinion, you can hate me for it, but I've looked at the data, I've looked at, and once again, I recommend that everyone else goes out and does their research. If you disagree with me and you think hodling altcoins for the long term is a good idea, go onto Google, type in CoinMarketCap 2018 Bitcoin altcoin snapshot, and look at the top 25 altcoins back in 2018. Yeah, where are they all? They're not here. Because why are they not here? Technology evolves. Hodling altcoins is the same as hodling carrier pigeons instead of investing in Apple. Don't get stuck. Don't marry an altcoin. I think this is going to have great performance in the next bull run, and then I'm going to cycle it out for something else. That's how I trade. That's how I do it. I'm looking for lower prices. $1.80 is in play in the immediate short term. Train is your friend until the end, my friends. And as always, that's all I've got for you today. Cowboy out. Peace.